Welcome back to the Dopest Show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer and this is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but have been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the dumb stuff I did to get put in prison. I also got quite a few stories about the wild stuff that happened when I was actually in prison. And God forbid you end up in prison, you want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So each drug, the real drugs, okay, the hardcore ones, there's certain drugs that I don't really look at as drugs. I mean, weed, I don't particularly like it. I enjoy growing it. I'm good at growing it. But I don't like to use it. Kind of odd, but that's how it is. Same with psychedelics. I believe they can help people. They actually, I just found out from a friend who suggested it to me the other day, they have ketamine-based therapy available in Virginia that's legal. You can't just go out and buy it. It's therapy. You have to sign up for it. But, you know, nobody ever robbed grandma, sold grandma's wedding ring for, you know, a bag of mushrooms or something of the sort. The bad drugs, okay, obviously opiates, heroin, which doesn't exist anymore. It's just fentanyl with enough heroin for taste and smell. So that's pretty much something that's dead. So, I mean, in terms of, you know, cravings and wanting to go back to something, there's nothing to miss for me because it's kind of like the 44 friends I've had that are dead from drugs. They're gone. Well, heroin's gone too. I mean, I can't go back to using it because it isn't there. Okay, meth, that is the one that is the most dangerous in terms of people's actual behavior. I believe out of SAs, you know, like assaults on women, like that type of thing, that type of assault, you know, put people on the registry that were drug related. I believe it was 70 or 80% of them involved meth. So, I mean, that should tell you something right there. But also, you know, as opposed to coke and stuff like that, people get, they aren't scared and hiding from the shadow people. They're saying, I'm going to get them before they get me. But the worst one in terms of behavior, because it's so short acting, without question, is coke. Crack, more specifically. That is where this story comes into play. In prison, the most common drug that's the most popular, the most common would be Suboxone, I would say, which is something that's tremendous. It helps a ton of people, and I'm a huge advocate for that. I think it helps a lot of people, and nobody's ever died from solely buprenorphine. You can't show me one case of that. And the two pharmacists who I've spoke to, one of them's 2 counties over, him and the doctor that work, you know, they have said they've never seen an overdose of it. But heroin's a typical thing that you see in prisons. That's what people like doing. And, you know, I guess now probably sneak fentanyl in with it, you know, some crazy stuff. But something that you see occasionally, not as commonly, are other drugs like coke. That was in there before. But the one that really tore the unit up was crack. Okay? It caused a whole big conundrum. It caused inmates to stop drugs from being smuggled into the prison. Yeah. It caused inmates to stop drugs from being smuggled into the prison. Think about that. The inmates doing basically the job that the cops are failing to do. So, you knew it was happening. This is at the low security that I'm speaking of. The low security is a dormitory type setup. Now there's a bathroom. The bathroom's about 15 by 30 foot. To the left, it's a wall. It goes about 10 foot back. There are 2 showers. Walk in. All the showers in the feds are way deep walk-in showers, about 10 foot back, you know. To the right, 2 bathroom stalls with locks on them, just like at a gas station. Believe it or not, yeah, stalls with locks at the low security. That was something I appreciated after going to the medium, then coming back to the low. Now, the first time that I noticed that this was going on, I went in the bathroom and I smelled it. I was like, that smells like somebody smoking rock in here. You know, it smelled like crack. And I was like, what the? Couldn't be. You'll have to forgive me. Allergies are getting to me a little bit today. But, you know, go back to my room and I keep watching for the person to come out. And of course, you know, it's white dude, tattooed, all the way up and down his arms, claims some type of white supremacist stuff, but here he is going to, as soon as the drugs are there, screw that white supremacy. He's going to go to whatever race has the drugs. And just ignorance, to be racist towards a whole race, to judge somebody on their skin, anyway. But he comes out, and I'm like, oh no. I already knew what was going to happen. See, people don't account for this now. Of course, that's a huge moneymaker. People do that stuff. It lasts what, 5 minutes? Then I used to make fun. I stole it for a brief period of time. You know what I mean? And I actually did this thing, like, okay, whenever somebody bugged me, call me over and over again, when they finally get there, I would do this thing, and I'd go, I want to rock right now, and I'd say the name and say, my name's, and I want to rock right now. I want to rock right now, and they get mad as hell at me. They get mad as hell. That's one though that I had my car parked in a discreet place. I'd been up for probably I'd do amphetamines or just methamphetamine speed, and I'd sell dope. I'd stay up 5-6 days straight. Then I'd have to crash. I'd have to get a minimum, 5-6 hours of sleep before I could continue functioning. And I went to this house. Nobody knew where I was at. I turned my phone off. Boom, 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 boom. Some people knocking at the door. And I said, do not answer that door. On principle, we're going to sit here and ignore them. No. We sat in that house for 2 hours and knocking at that door. They finally left. I thought, how'd they find me? Must have been driving down every street in the whole... It's a pretty big city. They must have, I don't know how they found me. But they found me at this dude's house. I told him, you ain't answering that door. And, we dealt with that for a minute. But it was a matter of principle, not rewarding bad behavior. It's kind of ironic talking about drug dealing, drug addict. That is bad behavior in itself. So anyway, after this happens, there are a handful of people that are doing this. It's obvious they're doing it. Stuff starts turning up missing. Thieves. Nobody can stand a thief in prison. It's something universally hated. Okay? Something that is very, very universally hated. For the most part, the handful of people who did it, I didn't like anyway, but there was one that was a good dude. But addicted. Now, there was a guy, all but certain he's a chomo. Certain people don't talk on it. Certain people you don't know in there. At the low security, it ain't that big. It's not like a paperwork thing or anything like that. Nobody's too hard on it, but you can kind of gather. Especially with what he was very, very into. What he was very, very into were pictures. Pictures, just like pictures of your family. They have pictures that they pass like trading cards of adult stars. Sometimes these adult stars have braces. They look underdeveloped. It's crazy. He had binders and binders and binders of these. Some in his locker, but the special ones that he had apparently were under his pillow or something like that. They were somewhere in the room where they weren't under lock and key. I never seen this dude come out and get mad. This dude came out, man, now, whoever stole, messed his pictures. And I'm pretty sure it was the dude who I was cool with, the one out of the bunch who was a good dude, because he went over there hanging out with that dude Sally a lot, and he would have known where that guy hid it. More and more stuff ultimately went missing. It kept happening more and more, but they were targeting certain people. Chomos, okay, that's acceptable. Even then, it makes you nervous when there's a thief in the unit. And of course, ultimately, an addict will start with justification. They will start with the justification of taking something from somebody that's bad. Like, doing this, doing that, but ultimately it's going to spill over to where they're taking stuff from good people. And that's what happened. And a lot of people could leave stuff out in their room. And what ended up happening was there was a guy who got his shoes stolen. Okay? This guy was not somebody you steal shoes from, okay? He was one of the amigos. And he was, his Paisa isn't as big of a thing at the low security as it is the medium, but it's an organized group there. And ultimately, his shoes were stolen. Now these shoes were that exclusive stuff, player. Okay, these were shoes not everybody had. This was stuff like pretty much nobody had. It came from another prison. And shoes like that will go anywhere from 300, 500, sometimes 800, 1,000 if they've got something really, really well taken. People put these shoes in bags, okay, in plastic bags. Shoes are a big thing in there. They usually offer 4 different types of shoes at the commissary every 3 months, and they rotate them out. I remember when Under Armour first started making shoes. I thought, Under Armour? That's the stuff you wear whenever you're playing football. I remember back in high school football, people wore Under Armour shoes. Apparently, Under Armour's a thing now. Now look at it. Under Armour's a big old thing with all kinds of t-shirts and everything else. They're not just sportswear. But anyway, they put people out looking to get these shoes. They put people out looking to get these shoes, looking to buy them. They were on the lookout. They were trying to buy them. There were certain people just saying, yeah, let me know. Well, the one guy who was, one of the Migos, he was Paisa, got the guy to meet him at commissary for him to buy him the shoes. And he also had the guy who had the shoes stolen from him meet him at commissary too. They happened to be his shoes. Yeah. And they took the shoes from the guy, and they're like, nah, this is my shoes right here. And, took them from the guy. Now that guy's going to be mad at the guy. But now, not only did he get his shoes back, but he got the name from the guy. Who'd you get them from? You're going to tell me who you got them from. They told him we got them from. And went back to the unit and basically, checked the guy in. Let him know, you got to go. Either you go, we're going to put you out. It's not all the time do people get warnings. A lot of time people are too heated to where they just go do something. But this guy got a warning. He got a pass, he got a warning, and he went and he told the people, I got to go, I'm in fear for my life. And they got him up out of there. So, that was, the main thing that happened from this. Like the first main thing. But the stealing didn't stop because the drugs didn't stop. Now, as you can imagine, crack being a short-acting drug, people go back and forth and buy it, and it costs all that money, so of course they're going to mark it up like a ton. I don't know how much they sold it for, but it had to be something stupid ridiculous, okay? So even though it's something stupid ridiculous and it's so high priced, they want it so much they're going to find a way to keep getting it to where it all disappears. Well, then the next time that guy goes to the visiting room and his girl brings him some more stuff, it starts all over again. So there'd be a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 weeks of peace, of quiet, of not having to worry about stealing. And then it would start up all over again right when the drugs would show back up. Everybody in the building, except for the crackheads, hated this. It was so awful because you could literally tell when it was going to start happening again. It's nice to be able to leave your stuff out, to not have to worry about your things. In a dormitory setting, that's like something that's so important. Now, you have a locker with a lock on it, but I mean, how much stuff can you really stuff in a locker? I put all my stuff in the locker. I wasn't going to have anybody try to take anything. I was going to get mad. But the only thing I didn't was I had this big gallon cooler. Everybody else had these little see-through plastic half-gallon coolers. I had one of those Gatorade orange gallon coolers. Nobody had one of them. I think I paid $80 for that. It was either 80 or $100. Nobody else had one of those. That was one of the big things. I left it to T-Rex, my buddy, old biker. Whenever I left, unfortunately, he's had his legs amputated, diabetes since I left. Separate story, but anyway, ultimately, it just ended up getting worse and worse. People getting more brave and more brave. Addiction always progresses forward, gets worse and worse as it goes along, and you saw it. You saw the people, just how they act, going to beg people, everything else. You heard them on the phone talking like trash to their own family, telling them, well, I was taking care of you when I was out, you can't send me this much more money. And it made you sick to your stomach to hear stuff like that. The only person that was really benefiting off this was the person who was smuggling the drugs in. Everybody in the unit was put on edge. The addicts, I mean, shoot, it tearing their lives apart when you really look at it. And then making, you know, they made their choices to do stupid stuff that they were doing by stealing stuff from people in prison, which, you know, duh. But ultimately, you know, it ended up leading to something happening, which I'll tell in another story. But anyways, if you liked the video, press the like button. If not, it's 15 minutes and 27 seconds of your life in which you'll never get back. Yeah, baby. But I hope you did, though. Me and Casey gonna have drive out somewhere tomorrow. Go get something to eat. Probably go see a movie and stuff. You know, I don't get a whole lot of time when we do stuff like that. We're mostly recluses, so I mean, I think that'll be nice. You know, that's how we like it. We always go out somewhere and it's a big wait or something. And we're like, we should have stayed at home. But it's nice to get out every once in a while. So anyway, y'all have a good one.